Conference. We are these trillions, and today we're going to talk about how the future is culturally fluent. I am DeeDee Camozzi. I am a co-founder and organizational change agent for these trillions. My background is in project management. I am a PMP certified project manager with experience running departments in GM, pharma, and AA-centric agencies. And that is my partner.
I'm Shanteka Sigers. I am a co-founder and I am doing strategy these days, but my real discipline is creative direction. I am an executive creative director, writer, and I've worked in general market, African-American targeted agencies as well. And I teach cultural fluency and branding at the University of Texas, Austin.
And we make up these trillions. We were established in 2018. We are based in Austin, Texas. We are 100% woman-owned, majority African-American owned. And we realized that the African-American buying power is $1.3 trillion, which is where our name is derived from. We are named in honor of the ridiculous amounts of money left on the table when brands ignore or worse, insult the diverse facets of American culture.
And that's just the number for African Americans. That doesn't include the other $1 trillion left on the table. Our company is based on this idea of cultural fluency, and it's a general measurement of how well a brand can have successful conversations with the diverse facets of American culture, and it goes far beyond the words that are in your advertising. A culturally fluent voice in the room can uncover potential missteps as well as overlooked opportunities. And it is crucial for any group of people responsible for crafting messages for consumers on behalf of a brand, because it is clear that it can be really challenging for brands and their creative partners to craft meaningful conversations with consumers outside the dominant culture of those boardrooms. So today we're going to cover 3 areas. 1 is key ways well-meaning diversity goes wrong. 2 is the importance of consumer segment experts. And 3 is designing organizations where everyone learns to think outside their own identity, which is something DeeDee and I have been doing for years. The first area, key ways well-meaning diversity goes wrong. We're going to talk about casting or styling without knowing a consumer segment's hot buttons. So H&M had this really great idea to have a campaign that features little girls as they are fresh off the playground after school, messy hair and all. And they wanted to make sure that was cast with a diverse cast, which is brilliant, lovely, love it. Do not love this, though. This was an issue, and the internet exploded a little bit on this one. This beautiful young lady who, I mean, look at that neck, the cheekbones, skin, oh, gorgeous. The hair, hot button, Black women and hair. It's political, it's emotional. So the short version of this whole thing, DeeDee made me promise not to fall too far down this rabbit hole. But when this picture came out, the stylists and the people in the industry, Black models and hairdressers, all got in their feelings because these terrible things have happened to them where they show up for a job and the white models can get their hair done, but they have to bring their own items because nobody is even going to bother trying to do anything to their hair. So they always bring their own stuff, which is sad. They bring their own makeup as well. Thanks, Rihanna. But that was a challenging aspect. So they assumed that was what happened in that situation, and they felt angry that this girl was made to feel that way. Everybody wasn't on the same page. That happens with Black folks. Some people were like, what have they done to this child's hair? And other people were like, well, it's unhealthy and that's the problem. And then other people were like, nothing is wrong with this and stop saying these things about this. And maybe we should talk about how you feel about your hair texture. And then it's a whole rabbit hole. But what I'm pretty sure H&M did not mean to do, even though people were supporting them in some of the aspects, what I don't think they meant to do was start this conversation, because you know what comes up? Oh, the time they put the black boy in the monkey sweatshirt. Oops. So I'm pretty sure they didn't intend to start this conversation or be the agents. This isn't something that that brand was really should have had the. That's not your territory. Should have stayed out of there. So that was an issue. So when I look at this as a consumer segment expert and as a creative director, I look at these pictures and I think about what would I have done with this. I would have definitely cast her. I would have gone for a young lady with natural hair. She is gorgeous and just so cute in these clothes, but I would have done a simple thing, and that is not use certain pictures. I wouldn't use these pictures with the ponytail, because it gives you this side view. These ponytails for that texture of hair can be damaging. This little ponytail can pull, and it looks like there's damage around the sides. And I'm reasonably sure that they had to just not use those photos and just went with these gorgeous photos, this would have had the intended results. But hot button. Another way is that implicit bias can take your personas or casting to stereotypical places that you did not intend. We're going to do an exercise really quick here. And it's going to be in your head, so don't worry about anybody judging you. It's okay. I'm going to show you some pictures, and you're going to cast from this group of little headshots. I'm going to give you describe a role, and you're going to pick who that person is. Don't take too long. Don't try to outsmart me here. Just pick the person that you feel fits. Ready? Here we go. Cast America's sweetheart. Cast someone feminine. Cast a CEO. Cast the girl next door. Cast someone tough. Cast someone sassy. Cast a beauty queen. Cast a romantic lead. Cast a redhead. Okay, so just the person that you immediately keyed into right there. Think about that. And sometimes you get that feeling, you know, when that casting, when you go, that person's perfect, that person's so perfect. Sometimes that person is perfect, and sometimes it is your implicit bias kicking in and telling you, feeding you stereotypical information that black woman is going to tell it like it is in an authoritative way. Just because she's black, why does she have to be that role? Maybe she could be a different role. Maybe she's America's sweetheart. So I encourage you to interrogate those instincts that rise up when you're casting or creating persona pages or ideal consumer pages. So in other words, diversity is enough. You need cultural fluency to help that diversity efforts go right. And I hate picking on people, so I like to give a little, we want to give a little thumbs up to Shake Shack. I got this content in my Instagram feed the other day, and it is, chef's kiss. Perfect. It is a little video where this family is making a little lemonade stand with some really banging lemonade, guys. That's some tasty stuff. But they cast a black family with a single black father, which you never see, and the kids are handled so well. The little girl has natural hair, and it's just a thing of beauty. So well done, Shake Shack. We love it. Now we're going to talk about the importance of consumer segment specialists, and we want that to be a thing, so help us with this. So I want to share this tweet. I love this from Mixed Company Podcast. Friends, allies, performative and well-informed, and colleagues, let's get ahead of tomorrow. Tomorrow was being Juneteenth. If you do not have a black cultural leader in your company who is well-versed in Black American history, looking over your Juneteenth 2020 tweet or post, don't do it. Thanks, don't get canceled. And we could not agree more. This also has to do with that moment when someone says, well, when things go wrong, advertising goes wrong, don't you have a black person at the company? Well, it's not the black person. It is a black cultural leader in your company who is well-versed in Black American history is the key point here. For example, Sean is black. Yay me. I'm also a consumer segment expert, and those two things are not the same. I'm a consumer segment expert because I'm a person whose education, profession, or passion calls for the ongoing study of a group of people, which can provide historical and current cultural context for how product, ad, or action may be perceived by that group. Um, it means that I have top of mind knowledge of the consumer segment. I can help that well-meaning diversity hit right. I can inspire and inform briefs as well as help develop products. It means I have the ability to add dimension to lifeless data. You cannot survive on just Nielsen statistics alone. Shout out to Nielsen. Love you. Mean it. We also can stop asteroids, and that's our jokey way of saying when somebody has a really, really bad idea, we fly out into space and we put our arms up and we shield the Earth from some ridiculously just painful advertising. We also can point out opportunities that are being overlooked because of what we call low cultural fluency. You don't know that much about this group of people, so you don't know how to solve their problems or be really meaningful, or what kinds of things they might be looking for in as they look through consumer advertising. And a consumer segment expert means that the burden won't be placed on employees that happen to identify in that segment. And this is super important. That's why it's so big, because there is a person that we always call Larry. And Larry's a Black man who works in the finance department. And you cannot bring your advertising campaign that you've already shot to Larry and say, Larry, what you think it is? Because we cast a Black person. We want to know what all Black people are going to think it is. Number one, Larry wants you to leave him alone so he can go back to his spreadsheets, which is what you pay him for. You do not pay him for this other stuff. Also, Larry don't know nothing about that because Larry is in finance. He's not a creative director. He's not in marketing and branding. So you kind of have to leave Larry alone on this. And also, Larry does not feel comfortable telling y'all that you're racist. So who might you use for this instead? You might recruit some creative directors, planners, or researchers from a targeted agency, because they will have a lot of firsthand knowledge and advertising knowledge as well. But you don't want to recruit a creative director, say they're going to be a creative director, and then try to make them the segment expert for the entire company's advertising, because that's not fair. Don't do that. You could get some graduate students that major in African American studies or women's studies or Latinx studies or LGBTQIA studies. You can get those people. I'm so excited by this thought because they have so much just top of mind knowledge about these segments because they study them. And it's an ongoing thing. There's always something new to learn. And just the thought of these majors in a planning department creating content and teaching, it makes me so excited. The thought leaders or activists in a community can be really great resources if they agree to work with you. They can suggest how brands can go past performative solutions or just a bunch of meaningless words and get to meaningful solutions that are really needed and really helpful. The one thing I would caveat on that is that thought leaders and activists are thinking from the point of view of the thought leaders and activists and not from the point of view of a brand. So sometimes you have to make sure that these are messages that a brand has permission and enough currency with this group of people to put out. Ben and Jerry's, though, you could say anything you would like to say. You could possibly step on my pinky toe and I would still be cool because I love you, Ben and Jerry's. I love you. Consumer segment experts, pay them. We're going to make this slide flash the next time we do this. Pay them. Do not pick their brains. Do not ask them for a whole bunch of books you can read. Do not do that. You should pay them. And they are not the only ones. Even once you get this in place, it's about creating an environment where everyone is responsible for culturally fluent decisions rather than it being on the weight being on one person, because you're never going to make it that way. Everyone has to feel empowered to raise their hand and say, have we thought about this from the point of view of? And when everyone is doing that, we have seen just the most beautiful moments. We've seen unlikely people come to the rescue, and it's a beautiful thing. DeeDee, tell them how to do all that stuff.
So what Sean's been talking about is bringing in these cultural experts and having them look for missteps and look for opportunities. But our end goal is really to have everybody at an organization know how to do this and kind of identify those things for themselves. So one easy way to do that would be to hire a diverse team. Super easy to do. So you should definitely do that, but that's only getting you halfway there. What I noticed when I was working with Sean is that we would just instinctively do things in our creative department and for our agency that created opportunities to share knowledge, and so everybody could become a student and teacher of culture, and that's kind of where the end goal is, to have those conversations. At that point, my PM brain started kind of to think about it, and I know that process, when done well, can really help an agency run smoothly. But what I realized is that what we were doing was a process, and if you put in this process, then you can just completely up the ante on your social currency across, or social fluency across your entire agency.
Cultural fluency.
Cultural currency. So I like to tell a story about one of the clients that we did with these trillions. We were going through the steps of getting their own process for being more culturally fluent, and it just occurred to me that they are very good and were very diligent about doing their financial due diligence when they were starting a project. And what they needed our help with was coming up with those steps to get their cultural due diligence in order on the beginning of projects. And so that is what we help them do. A really great thing that you can use a segment expert for is vocabulary. You can't be competent, much less competent, if you don't know how to refer to a group of people. Sean mentioned she taught at UT. One of the key things in her curriculum is that weekly she would bring in different consumer segment experts to give the students vocabulary and how they should talk about a certain segment. They would say what to say and what not to say and why, because without that vocabulary, you can get tripped up on the most basic of things. For example, if you see this image, how should we refer to these two women? Are they Black? Are they African American? Sean.
I know. These are Black women with a capital B. And we don't know if they're African American because, for all we know, they're Nigerian American or French or who knows. It depends on if you're asking me race or you're asking me their culture. Their race is Black. Their culture can be any number of things. Was that the right answer, DeeDee?
That's correct. They're actually French.
So these were what we talked about. We hope these topics were really useful, and that it's something that we gave you something you can think about and something you can use. For parting words, we would say that diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racist trainings, which are so exciting and so necessary, they are all largely internal. Cultural fluency training provides that extra thing that we felt was missing, and it shapes how a brand communicates externally, which we think that's been something that's been missing for a long time. That's our time. We are thesetrillions.com. Are we a .com, DeeDee?
We are .com.
We're .com now. So we'll see you guys at the bar. What bar are we meeting at? Let's go.